Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody tuning in today. Supatease here, coming at you with another 3v3 arena guide, once again for Restoration Shaman. In this specific matchup, I am going up against a Hunter melee cleave, and I am playing an attrition-based composition with a Bounce Druid and a Shadow Priest. Both these compositions are very common on the ladder, and I'm going to be going through my thought process throughout the matchup and the reason why I'm doing certain actions. The main objective for the team of ourselves with the Restoration Shaman composition, the main priority is survive. Don't do anything reckless and focus on surviving, because a Disciplined Priest composition, especially paired with a Hunter, is a composition that runs out of steam, so you're looking to exhaust their resources and then cause them to cave over. That isn't to say that you shouldn't look for crowd control through the match or burst opportunities, but you want to make sure that you're absolutely safe to do so. And what is a safe situation? Well, it's a situation when you, the healer, or myself in this case, are not in crowd control, and the enemy team is not using offensive cooldowns. So Coordinated Assaults and Avenging Wrath are the most powerful offensive cooldowns the opposing team has. If those are activated, you want to really focus on surviving. So the positioning of this composition is you want to be out in the open. So we are playing on the far corner of Tolvaron, my DPS members, and I try to max range away from wherever the Ret Paladin is. And what this will do is either force the Ret Paladin to run and hodge me and then have to run all the way back to the target. I start the fight off by using Earthen Shield Totem, preemptively expecting crowd control, and with that activated defense, my partner uses Incarnation so that they can boost their damage and attack. With the Earthen Wall's protection, the enemy team adapts to that situation and decides it isn't worth it, it's not worth the risk and the damage taken to try and attack the Earthen Wall. So they make a wise move and retreat away. What we should take from this situation is to wait until they commit more crowd control and cooldown so that they at least lose something themselves for running away. Because now the Incarnation threat's no longer there, and we have no Earthen Wall. My Priest does a nice move here by using Life Grip while I'm stunned, as Freezing Trap is in the air, to prevent the crowd control chain from continuing through. That was very high level awareness on their part. Again, now that the fight has kind of started and they're going after my Balance Druid, we don't have Incarnation, we don't have any big threats, so going into a defensive posture, in this case on this class that is Bear Form, and just purely tanking them out, similar to what a Guardian Druid would do. I try to sneak in some extra crowd control onto the healer as my partner is durable, but then Hammer of Justice comes in. My positioning could be better. I need to be further away from my Balance Druid. As I said at the start of the match, you don't want the Ret Paladin to be able to stun you and attack their target immediately. You want a little bit of breathing room, one, to see the Hammer of Justice coming, and also the Ret Paladin just losing uptime on the target by having to walk away. So I realized the positioning was bad and try to reposition, but my positioning could still even be better than where it is right now. I should be moving much further away. And you can see, trying to attack, the Avenging Wrath was activated from the Ret Paladin, and my Druid came out of Bear Form right when that happened and took a huge hit, and it cost very powerful defensive cooldowns with Spirit Link Totem and Earthen Wall Totem. So you always want to make sure that you're blocking the attack as these Shaman compositions, and then going in for your attack, or at least making sure you have some protection, so using Earthen Wall Totem before you attack. But generally speaking, that can leave you open to being killed later on. The main prerogative here is to survive and to run the Priest out of mana, or to kind of overwhelm them with damage over time effects. Here they initiate crowd control. The Hunter is running Diamond Ice, which means this Freezing Trap cannot be Mass Dispelled, so I notify my Priest to then think about using Mass Dispel on either Psychic Scream or Hammer of Justice. The Priest moved in, and I watched their positioning there. They were looking for Psychic Scream, so I activated Tremor Totem, anticipating it. And then after that crowd control is over, I moved and I hexed the Priest. Now this is the positioning that we should have had the entire game, with my Balance Druid in the far corner in the open. My Shadow Priest can free cast. There's nowhere for their healer to stand other than the middle of the map unless they decide to completely not attack, which plays into our favor. We can apply dots and run the priest out of mana even if they're trying to run away. The positioning that we have now is basically close to perfect and should have been what we were playing since the start of the match. Now the Red Paladin has to take time to walk towards me to stun, the Hunter has to take time to walk towards me to trap, and while they're walking towards me, my Balanced Druid isn't being attacked, can get out of bear form and lead the charge. They realize that positioning is devastating for them, and in desperation, switch to me. Now, as the Restoration Shaman, I am running Spectral Recovery, I am running Pack Spirit, Azurite traits, and I am basically a tank in Ghost Wolf. So it is a great thing for my team that they attack me. I can just exploit Ghost Wolf and basically heal through it while outrunning them and tanking and soaking their damage. They realized that wasn't going to work and they got off me almost immediately, but they are basically in a checkmate position if they keep attacking the Balanced Druid in the corner. So they were trying to mix it up, but inevitably their clock is ticking. The positioning that we have is perfect. There's nowhere for them to run. The Shadow Priest has free reign. I can also look for hexes much more easily with the Priest in the middle of the map, and this is the positioning that you want. This is the triangle Wizard Cleave against Melee Cleave. Expose all three targets, maximize your damage, maximize your crowd control, minimize the amount of damage you take, and minimize the amount of crowd control. This is why positioning is critical. Earlier in the game, I was trading Spirit Link. Things were kind of panicked, and the damage was really high. Now, with proper positioning, the damage is a lot more manageable and we're blowing through their resources much more quickly. So you definitely want to be aware of that. In this point, my priest stacks on me to eat Freezing Trap, and it would be wise for us to be at least reasonably close to each other, but still in a triangle position so that they can use Mass Dispel, Life Grip, or just stand on top of me to eat incoming crowd control. And then my main objective is either during downtime to look for hexes or Wind Shears. You really want to Wind Shear Penance. It's a low mana cost spell, and it heals a lot. So if you interrupt it really fast, you deny a lot of healing and you deny mana from the priest, which is his most important resource. And if this is your strategy against a disciplined priest to attrition them, you do not want to interrupt Shadow Mend. If your main goal is to run a disciplined priest out of mana, do not kick Shadow Mend. You want to kick Penance as the main priority, and Smite if you have to. These are low mana cost spells and very efficient. If you interrupt them, you force the priest to cast Shadow Mend, which is a big bursty heal. You're not going to kill through it, but you are going to kill that blue bar, their mana bar, very fast. Now we've sort of repositioned, although it's not as powerful with the Balanced Druid in the middle. And why is it not as powerful? Well, look where the priest is. He can duck around the corner on the pillar, avoiding the Shadow Priest dots, avoiding our incoming crowd control. It would be a lot better for us positionally in this spot of the match to switch back to where the Balanced Druid is in the corner, or whoever the target is. It's the information you want to take from this is whoever the target is when you're playing with two ranged classes against two melee classes. They want to be in the corner, out in the open, so that the other two members can harass and maximize their potential to its fullest in the match. This priest, although is playing more in the center and we can still attack them, they could exploit our mismanagement of positioning a lot more. But now you see the Shadow Priest as a target. Where does the Shadow Priest go? Immediately out into the far open corner. Although with this switch, they did catch me a bit off guard, and we had to use Dispersion, which is still more than a fair trade for Avenging Wrath. Against a Ret Paladin, you basically don't need to care that they're in the game, unless they have Avenging Wrath up, and you need to react almost immediately. They will use Execution Sentence and Wake of Ashes and take probably, on average, 80% of your health in less than 2 seconds. So that Avenging Wrath on your Omnibar, whenever they use Hammer of Reckoning, which is an honor talent they can use to unleash Avenging Wrath, if you're not on that immediately, you're gonna go down most likely. So your main focus is really making sure that you trade for that Avenging Wrath. Again, our positioning is not perfect with the Shadow Priest in the middle of the map. The Priest can abuse the pillar on the side. We are still fortunate that he's spending a lot of time in the center and getting dotted. And basically now that we have survived long enough, dampening is in the game, the Priest is basically tapped on mana. This is where the dots start to do devastating amounts of damage, so much so that the opposing team decides that their best option is simply leaving the arena. So as you can see, we're making mistakes. and it's all a learning process, but I just wanted to take you through my thought process in that game, where improvements can be made, where things that you can take away from this and improve for your own game as well. And I hope that this video was of some help to you. So I would appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this type of content. Click that notification bell so you can see when I'm uploading my guides. I do my best to make one guide a day, and I'm looking to expand that content here quite rapidly. So I appreciate all the support. I hope that this video was helpful, and I hope you tune in again. Thank you.